Hello friends, today we will learn about liver. Liver is the largest gland of our body. It is both exocrine as well as endocrine type of gland. Exocrine part of the liver secretes bile which passes via biliary passages, while endocrine part secretes glucose, many plasma proteins and heparin which secretes directly into the blood. Shape and situation. The shape of the liver is wedge shaped. The base of the wedge is directed to the right side. This part is forming base of the wedge. It is situated in right hypochondriac region, upper part of epigastric region and some part of left hypochondriac region just medial to left lateral plane. Weight of the liver. Absolute weight of the liver in adult person male is around 1.4 to 1.8 kg and in adult female it is about 1.2 to 1.4 kg. In newborn it is around 150 gram. Proportional weight of the liver, it is about 1/36 of the body weight in adult. But in newborn, it is about 1/18 of the body weight. So, it is larger in children because it has hematopoietic function in the fetal life. In the living person, liver is reddish brown in color, soft in consistency and friable to touch. It is essential organ for life. Liver cell undergo rapid mitosis when the part of the liver is removed. Surgical removal of about 2/3 part of the liver is compatible with life. External features of liver. Liver is wedge-shaped organ with the base is directed to the right. It has 5 surfaces: the anterior surface, the superior surface, right surface, posterior surface and inferior surface. So, it is having 5 surfaces. Among these surfaces, the superior surface, anterior surface and right surface, they are vaguely continuous without limiting border. The posterior surface, it is separated from the superior surface by the border. This is known as postero-superior border. And this posterior surface is separated from the inferior surface by postero-inferior border. But these two borders are also less defined. The one and only border which is well defined is inferior border. This inferior border separates the anterior surface from the inferior surface, and it also separates the inferior surface from the right lateral surface. Here it is rounded and here in its anterior part it is sharp. It shows the presence of 2 notches. This notch, here you can see there is attachment of ligamentum teres. Here you can see this is the ligamentum teres. So this notch is known as notch for ligamentum teres, or we can say interlobar notch. Another notch is here. This notch is known as cystic notch, and here there is presence of fundus of gallbladder. This is the fundus of gallbladder and this notch is cystic notch. The inferior border of liver extend from right triangular ligament here and up to this free margin of left triangular ligament. Sometimes there is tongue-like extension from this lower border of the lever. It is known as Riedl's lobe. Whenever it is present, it extends beyond the right costal margin. Now, posterior-superior border. It separates the superior surface from the posterior surface. It is demarcated by upper layer of the coronary ligament, upper end of the groove for IVC, and left triangular ligament. Now, posterior-inferior border. It is demarcated by lower layer of the coronary ligament, lower end of the groove for IVC, then transverse line passing through the caudate lobe just above the caudate process and papillary process, then anterior lip of the fissure for the ligamentum venosum, then lower end of the esophageal impression and sharp margin on the left lobe of the lever. Superior surface. It shows the concavity in the middle and convexity on the right side as well as on the left side. The middle concave area, it is known as cardiac impression because it is related to heart above. The convex right and left part fits into the diaphragm. This whole surface is related to diaphragm and separated by the diaphragm from the heart and pericardium in the middle and lungs and pleura on the right and left side. This whole surface is covered by peritoneum except the small triangular area which is non-peritoneal because of the divergence of the two layer of falciform ligament. Then right lateral surface. This right lateral surface, it is related to undersurface of the right part of the diaphragm opposite to 7th to 11th ribs on the right side. Here we know that on the mid-axillary line, the extent of lung is up to 8th rib and extent of pleura is up to 10th rib. So, on this surface, right lateral surface, the upper 1/3 portion is related to lung and pleura and diaphragm. Middle 1/3 portion is related to pleura and diaphragm and lower 1/3 portion is related to only diaphragm. So that now we can say that whenever we want to take liver biopsy, we have to introduce the biopsy needle in the 9th or 10th intercostal space to avoid injury to lung. This anterior surface is triangular surface. It is subdivided into right and left lobe by the attachment of the falciform ligament. This is a falciform ligament. It is subdivided into right larger part, smaller left part and intermediate triangular area. The right larger part is related to right costal margin. It is related to diaphragm, 6th to 10th ribs and lower margin of right lung and pleura. The left smaller part, it is beneath the left costal margin, which is related to left 7th and 8th costal cartilage. The intermediate triangular part is related to xiphoid process and it comes in direct contact with anterior abdominal wall. Now we will see the posterior surface. Here you can see this is the posterior surface and this part is the inferior surface. This posterior surface lies between posterior-superior border and posterior-inferior border. The features on this posterior surface, it includes in the middle part, it is slightly concave for the relation of the vertebral column. Then we will see the features from right to left side. First of all, on the right side, there is a large bare area. This is a triangular non-peritoneal area. It is the largest bare area lies on the posterior surface of the liver. The boundary of bare area includes upper boundary is formed by the superior layer of coronary ligament. Here you can see the line of reflection of the coronary ligament. Here lower boundary is formed by inferior layer of coronary ligament. Both the layer, superior and inferior layer of coronary ligament meet on the right side and they form the right triangular ligament. So here the right triangular ligament will form the apex of the bare area. Base is formed by groove for the IVC and superior and inferior boundary are formed by superior and inferior layer of coronary ligament. This bare area is related to diaphragm and separated from the diaphragm by the loose connective tissue which contains right inferior phrenic artery, branches of it and communication between the portal vein and systemic vein. The inferomedial area, this part on this bare area is related to right suprarenal gland. Then to the left of this bare area there is a groove for inferior vena cava. Here you can see this is the cut part of inferior vena cava and this is the groove for inferior vena cava. Floor of the groove is pierced by hepatic veins. Here you can see this floor is pierced by this hepatic vein. You can see this vein come to open into the IVC. Here also this is the upper group of hepatic veins which open directly into this IVC. The hepatic veins, they are valveless and they are arranged in the two groups, upper group and lower group. Upper group consists of the three veins, right, left and intermediate, while lower group consists of two veins on the left side and one vein on the right side. This opening of hepatic veins directly into the IVC is the main factor which keeps the liver in position. Sometimes band of hepatic tissue covers the back of the inferior vena cava. Such band of hepatic tissue is known as pons hepatis. And this pons hepatis, whenever it presents, it converts this groove into the tunnel. Here you can imagine if there is a hepatic tissue overlying here, then it will convert this groove of inferior vena cava into the tunnel. This is the caudate lobe. It is bounded on the right side by the groove for inferior vena cava, on the left side by the fissure for the ligamentum venosum, below by this porta hepatis and above by this posterior-superior line or border. This caudate lobe has anterior surface and posterior surface. The anterior surface is formed by posterior wall of this fissure for ligamentum venosum and posterior surface is related to vertebral column. This anterior surface is related to lesser omentum. Posterior surface is related to upper recess of lesser sac, right crush of diaphragm above the aortic opening and right inferior phrenic artery and bodies of 10th to 12th thoracic vertebra. This caudate process presents two processes. This is the caudate process and this conical or rounded projection is the papillary process. Both the processes are included on the inferior surface of the liver. All this caudate process included caudate lobe and including its processes are covered by peritoneum of lesser sac. Then here you can see this is the fissure for ligamentum venosum. This fissure has anterior lip and anterior wall which are covered by the peritoneum of the greater sac and posterior wall and posterior lip are covered by the peritoneum of lesser sac. The floor is non-peritoneal and it gives attachment to hepatogastric part of lesser omentum. So here this fissure contains 4 layers of peritoneum. The floor of this fissure lodges a ligament, that is the ligamentum venosum. Here you can see this is the ligamentum venosum. This is the remnant of ductus venosus. It extends from the left branch of portal vein. Here you can see this is the portal vein. So this ligamentum venosum extends from the left branch of portal vein to the IVC. This is the remnant of ductus venosus, ligamentum venosum. On the posterior aspect of the left lobe, this impression is the esophageal impression. It is related to abdominal part of esophagus. So on this posterior surface, we have seen bare area, groove for the inferior vena cava, caudate lobe, fissure for ligamentum venosum, and esophageal impression. The inferior surface is separated from the posterior surface by posterior-inferior border, and this sharp inferior border separate this inferior surface from right lateral surface and anterior surface. So when we hold the lever in anatomical position, this inferior surface, it is directed downward, backward and to the left. This inferior surface has 3 non-peritoneal area. One is fissure for ligamentum teres, then porta hepatis and fossa for gallbladder. On the posterior aspect of this left lobe of the liver, this is the large concave impression. This concave impression is known as gastric impression. It is related to anterosuperior aspect of the fundus and body of stomach. Between this gastric impression and this lower end of the fissure for ligamentum venosum, there is a rounded elevation. Here you can see this is the rounded elevation. This elevation is known as tuber omental. This tuber omental is directed backward and downward toward the tuber omental of pancreas. It is related to lesser omentum. This is the fissure for ligamentum teres. This fissure, it is a deep cleft extending from the notch on the inferior border to the left end of porta hepatis. Its wall are covered by the peritoneum of the greater sac, but its floor contains the ligamentum teres hepatis. Here you can see this ligament is known as ligamentum teres hepatis. It is a remnant of left umbilical vein. So this groove is covered by the 2 layers of peritoneum, which are both are derived from greater sac. This is the quadrate lobe. It is quadrangular in shape. It is bounded on the right side by the fossa for the gallbladder, on the left side by the fissure for the ligamentum teres, above and behind by the porta hepatis, and below and in front by this inferior border. In its upper part, it is related to lesser omentum. In its middle part, it is related to pyloric part of the stomach and first part of duodenum, and its lower part is related to transverse colon only when the stomach is empty. This is the porta hepatis. It is the transverse fissure around 5 cm long. It extends from the neck of the gallbladder to the fissure for the ligamentum teres. It lies between caudate lobe and quadrate lobe. This gives attachment to anterior and posterior layer of lesser omentum. At the right end of the porta hepatis, both the layer of omentum are continuous to form the right free margin. The right and left branches of hepatic artery and right and left branch of the portal vein and hepatic plexus of nerves enter the liver through this porta hepatis, while right and left hepatic duct, cystic duct and lymphatics leave the liver through this porta hepatis. This porta hepatis is not the true gateway because it gives passage to all the structure except hepatic veins. The hepatic vein directly open into IVC. Here you can see the arrangement of structure at porta hepatis from behind to forward. It is portal vein, hepatic artery and bile duct. Here you can see this is a portal vein. These are right and left branch of hepatic artery, nerve plexus, and this is a bile duct which is formed by joining this cystic duct and common hepatic duct. Inferior surface of the liver also shows the presence of caudate process and papillary process. The caudate process, it is the tail-like projection from the lower and right part of the caudate lobe. It passes transversely. It lies between the inferior vena cava and the porta hepatis. This caudate process forms the boundary of epiploic foramen. It forms the roof of the epiploic foramen. This is the papillary process. It is the rounded or conical process which arises from the lower and left part of the caudate lobe. It is directed downward and it is related to origin of celiac artery separated by cavity of lesser sac. Now the fossa for the gallbladder. It is non-peritoneal fossa, extend from the cystic notch on the inferior border of the liver to the right end of the porta hepatis. It is related to upper part of the body and neck of the gallbladder and separated by the loose areolar tissue. The deep branch of the cystic artery and corresponding vein intervene between the liver and the gallbladder. Occasionally, this fossa is lined by peritoneum when the gallbladder is suspended by the mesentery. Rarely, this may become intrahepatic and buried by the hepatic tissue. On the right side of the neck of the gallbladder, there is a small impression. This shallow-concave fossa is the impression for the duodenum. It is related to junction of first and second part of the duodenum, that is superior duodenal flexure. Then on the right side of the body of the gallbladder, this is the body of the gallbladder, and on the right side of this there is a shallow-concave impression which extends up to the lower border of the liver, and this impression is colic impression. It is related to right colic flexure. Then another shallow fossa which lies above and behind this duodenal impression. This fossa extends up to this lower margin of the bare area of the liver. It is a renal impression and it is related to right kidney. Upper part of the anterior surface of the right kidney is related here, and it is separated from the liver by the hepatorenal pouch of Morrison. So on the inferior surface we have seen the gastric impression, porta hepatis, fissure for the ligamentum teres, quadrate lobe, fossa for the gallbladder, duodenal impression, colic impression and renal impression. This inferior surface is known as visceral surface. Three glands are related to the liver. The suprarenal gland related to this inferomedial part of the bare area. Then right kidney is related to this renal impression, and tuberomental of the pancreas is related to this tuberomental of the liver, separated by the lesser omentum. various parts of gastrointestinal tract are related to liver, which include abdominal part of the esophagus, here on the esophageal impression, then fundus and stomach body related to this gastric impression, then pyloric part of the stomach and first part of the duodenum to this middle part of the quadrate lobe. Then on this duodenal impression, superior duodenal flexure, right colic flexure on this colic impression, and transverse colon on this lower part of the quadrate lobe whenever the stomach is empty. Anatomical position of liver. For keeping the liver in anatomical position, keep this groove for the IVC vertically upward. Right lateral surface on the right side and superior surface on the upper side in such a way that right convex part remains slightly higher than the left convex part. So this is the anatomical position of liver. Now some of the area of liver are not covered by the peritoneum. They are known as non-peritoneal area. This includes this large bare area on the posterior surface of the liver, then groove for the inferior vena cava, fissure for the ligamentum venosum, porta hepatis, fissure for the ligamentum teres, and fossa for the gallbladder. This area, they form the H-shaped fissure. The right limb of the H is formed by fossa for the gallbladder and groove for the inferior vena cava. Left limb is formed by fissure for ligamentum venosum and fissure for ligamentum teres, and horizontal limb is formed by porta hepatis. Other bare area are the line of attachment of the falciform ligament and small triangular bare area which are produced due to divergence of the two layers of falciform ligament. Out of this non-peritoneal area, 4 larger area are included in bare area, which includes this triangular area on the superior surface of the liver, then this triangular large bare area on the posterior surface of the liver, then groove for the inferior vena cava and fossa for the gallbladder. Now line of peritoneal reflection on the liver. The two layers of the falciform ligament are attached on the anterior surface of the liver. Then this right and left layer diverges above. On the right side, this right layer is continuous with this superior layer of the coronary ligament, then right triangular ligament, then inferior layer of coronary ligament, lower end of the groove for the inferior vena cava, then along right margin and upper end of the caudate lobe. Here it is continuous with the posterior layer of lesser omentum in the groove for the fissure for the ligamentum venosum, then along the posterior margin of porta hepatis. At this right free margin of the porta hepatis, it is continuous with the anterior layer of lesser omentum which is attached along the anterior lip of the porta hepatis, then a fissure of the ligamentum venosum. From here, it is continuous with the posterior layer, free margin and anterior layer of this left triangular ligament. This anterior layer of left triangular ligament is then continuous with the left layer of falciform ligament. Liver has 5 false ligament and 2 true ligaments. False ligaments are peritoneal folds. It includes falciform ligament, right and left triangular ligaments, coronary ligament and lesser omentum. Falciform ligament. This is the falciform ligament. It is a sickle-shaped fold extending from the anterior abdominal wall and diaphragm to the anterior-superior surface of the liver. This sickle-shaped fold has convex margin and concave margin. The convex margin is attached to the diaphragm and anterior abdominal wall, and concave margin is attached here on this liver on its anterior surface and superior surface at the junction of anatomical right and left lobe. Free margin of this ligament extends from the umbilicus to this interlobar notch, and its free margin contains this ligament. This is the ligamentum teres hepatis. Then coronary ligaments. Coronary ligament has two layers, superior layer and inferior layer. Coronary ligament connects the bare area of the liver with the diaphragm. Its superior layer is parieto-visceral. It extends from the diaphragm to the liver, while inferior layer is intervisceral. It is reflected from the liver to the upper end of the right kidney, forming hepatorenal ligament. This superior and inferior layer of the coronary ligament on its right side continues with the right triangular ligament. Here we can't see the right triangular ligament, but we can see the line of attachment of this superior and inferior layer of coronary ligament. From here, the right triangular ligament extends to the diaphragm. It connects the right lateral surface to the diaphragm. Then left triangular ligament. This left triangular ligament, it connects the left lobe of the liver to the diaphragm. This is the left triangular ligament. Lesser omentum. It connects the liver with the lesser curvature of the stomach and 2.5 cm proximal part of the first part of the duodenum. Its attachment on the liver is J-shaped. The vertical limb of the J is on the fissure for the ligamentum venosum, and horizontal limb is attached to the porta hepatis. It has two layers. Both these layers are continuous with each other at the right margin of the porta hepatis. Here they form the right free margin of the lesser omentum. True ligament include ligamentum teres hepatis and ligamentum venosum. Here you can see the ligamentum teres hepatis lying within the free margin of falciform ligament here and within the groove for ligamentum teres hepatis. It is the remnant of left umbilical vein. In the fetal life, the left umbilical vein conveys oxygenated blood from the placenta to the fetus. Now, ligamentum venosum. This is the ligamentum venosum. It is the remnant of ductus venosus. In the fetal life, most of the blood of the left umbilical vein shunts to the inferior vena cava via the ductus venosus after bypassing the hepatic circulation. Blood supply of liver. Liver receives 20% of its blood supply from the hepatic artery and 80% of its blood supply via the portal vein. The arterial blood is rich in oxygen, while the blood in portal vein it is rich in nutrients. Before entering into the liver, the hepatic artery and portal vein divide into right and left branches. Within the liver, they redivide to form segmental vessels. Further, these segmental vessels divide and form the interlobular vessels, which run in the portal canals. Further ramification of the interlobular branches open into the hepatic sinusoids. Thus, hepatic arterial blood mixes with the portal venous blood in the sinusoids. There are no anastomosis between adjoining hepatic arterial territories, and hence each branch of hepatic artery is an end artery. Venous drainage. The hepatic sinusoids drain into interlobular veins, which join to form sublobular veins, and they unite to form hepatic veins, which directly open into inferior vena cava. Hepatic veins are valveless and they are arranged in the two groups, upper group and lower group. The upper group includes three veins, right vein, intermediate and left vein, while the lower group consists of two veins on the left side and one on the right side. This opening of hepatic vein directly into the inferior vena cava, it is the most important factor which keeps the liver in its position. Other factors include intra-abdominal pressure, which is maintained by the tone of the abdominal muscles, and ligaments of liver. Nerve supply of liver. Liver receives its nerve supply via hepatic plexus of nerves, which enter through the porta hepatis. It contains sympathetic and parasympathetic fibers. The sympathetic fibers are derived from the celiac plexus. Parasympathetic fibers are derived from anterior vagal trunk. They reaches to porta hepatis via lesser omentum. Lymphatic drainage of the liver. The liver has two sets of lymphatics, superficial and deep. Superficial lymphatics ramify in the subserous areolar tissue. Most of the vessels from the posterior surface, adjoining part of the superior surface and right lateral surface converge toward the inferior vena cava and drain into the anterior and intermediate groups of supradiaphragmatic lymph node. Vessels from the inferior surface and adjoining part of the anterior surface. They run along the porta hepatis and drain into the hepatic group of lymph node. Some lymphatics from the convex surface of the right lobe drain into celiac lymph node, while some lymphatics from the posterior surface of left lobe drain into paracardiac lymph node. Deep lymphatics. The lymphatics accompanying the portal triad constitute the deep lymphatics. Deep lymphatic vessels which accompany the hepatic vein drain into the supradiaphragmatic group of lymph node, while the other deep lymphatics which accompany the portal vein, they drain into hepatic group of lymph node. Lobes of liver. Anatomically, liver is divided into right and left lobe by attachment of the falciform ligament on the anterosuperior surface and fissure for the ligamentum venosum and ligamentum teres. In this way, the anatomical left lobe is smaller as compared to anatomical right lobe. It forms around 1/6 of the liver, while the right lobe forms around 5/6 of the liver. But these anatomical lobes are not true lobes, as they do not correspond to internal architecture of liver. Physiological lobe or functional lobe are also known as true lobes. Physiologically, liver can be divided into right and left lobe. These physiological lobes is based on the intrahepatic distribution of hepatic artery, portal vein and bile duct. Physiological lobes are separated by a plane passing through this cystic notch to the groove for the IVC on this anterosuperior surface. Here you can see this is the cystic notch and the line joining to this opening of IVC. So this line passes slightly to the right of attachment of the falciform ligament. On posteriorly, the line passes through the middle of the caudate lobe, and on the inferior surface the line passes through this fossa for the gallbladder. So here this caudate lobe is included in both physiological right as well as left lobe. Here both the lobe, right and left lobe, are almost equal in size. Each true lobe has its own primary branch of hepatic artery, portal vein, and it is drained by its own hepatic duct. Right physiological lobe is divided into anterior and posterior part, and left physiological lobe is divided into medial and lateral part. Each of these part is further divided into upper and lower part and form 8 surgically resectable hepatic segment. Knowledge of this segment is important for surgical removal of liver. The veins draining the hepatic segments are intersegmental. That means they drain more than one segment. According to nomenclature of Coinard, the hepatic segments are numbered from 1 to 8. 1 to 4 lobes in the left hemiliver and 5 to 8 lobes in the right hemiliver. According to this nomenclature, segment 1 is correspond to this caudate lobe and segment 4 to this quadrate lobe. Segment 1 to 4 are included in this left hemiliver. They are supplied by left branch of hepatic artery, left branch of portal vein, and drained by left hepatic duct. Segment 5 to 8 of this right hemiliver, they are drained by right branch of hepatic duct and they are supplied by right hepatic artery and right branch of portal vein. Liver has many functions of metabolic activities necessary for homeostasis, nutrition and immune response. Major functions of the liver include it secretes bile and stores glycogen. It synthesizes the serum proteins and lipids. It detoxifies blood from endogenous and exogenous substances like toxins, drugs, alcohol, etc. It produces hemopoietic cells at all times during fetal life. Clinical anatomy. Inflammation of liver is known as hepatitis. It may be infective hepatitis or amoebic hepatitis. The hepatocytes sometimes may undergo necrosis following their injury and death caused by infection, toxins, alcohol and poison. The dead hepatocytes are replaced by fibrous tissue by the proliferation of the perilobular connective tissue. The resultant hepatic fibrosis is clinically known as cirrhosis of liver. Liver receives blood from hepatic artery and portal vein. Both these vessels lie in the free margin of lesser omentum. Bleeding from the liver can be stopped by compressing the free edge of lesser omentum. This is called Pringle's maneuver. If bleeding still continues, it is likely that inferior vena cava is also injured. Liver is the common site of metastatic tumors. If there is primary tumor in gastrointestinal tract, then carcinomatous cell may passes via the portal vein to the liver and causes secondary tumor in the liver. Liver transplantation can be done in patients with end-stage liver disease. The implant of the graft requires an inferior caval anastomosis followed by anastomosis of the portal vein, and finally arterial and biliary anastomosis are performed.